Discover the life-changing morning routine, 5 hidden habits to transform your day forever. Sarah's heart raced as she read the headline, her fingers pausing mid-scroll. Could it really be that simple? Could 5 hidden habits truly transform her chaotic mornings into something beautiful? She felt hope flicker in her chest, a tiny flame battling against the tide of unpaid bills and the weight of single motherhood. Every dawn in their small Midwestern town felt like another round in a boxing ring. Inspiration fluttered like the wings of a trapped bird as her 8-year-old son, Jake, sat at the kitchen table, his small hands wrapped around a crayon, creating vibrant worlds on a piece of paper. It was in these moments, the fleeting ones before the world demanded more, that Sarah longed for a life where laughter filled their home, not the echoes of her childhood mixed with shadows of resentment towards her estranged father, who had walked out years ago. As she poured herself a cup of coffee, the smell mingling with the scent of burnt toast, she thought of her own childhood full of chaos yet void of the love she craved. Would she ever be enough for Jake? Each sunrise, Sarah wrestled with feelings of inadequacy. Her routine felt like quicksand, threatening to pull her under with every bill that crept into view. She resolved to try the morning habit, starting with a simple morning stretch, a deep breath. She not only wanted to transform her days but also wanted to grant Jake a stable home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One afternoon, the calm she hoped for shattered as her father appeared at her doorstep. He looked worn, his veteran's cap slightly askew, the way he always wore it in her memories. This unexpected visit stirred the pot of unresolved emotions. Pain blasted through her like shrapnel, years of longing collided with anger. "Why are you here now?" she shot at him, her voice breaking. His voice was low, laced with regret. "I want to make things right, Sarah." But his words felt heavy, like stones tossed into still water, creating waves that threatened to drown her hope of transformation. How could she weave a calm morning ritual with a father whose presence felt more like a storm cloud than sunshine? Suddenly, a financial crisis struck, a car repair she hadn't budgeted for, threatening to derail everything. The bills loomed in her mind like dark clouds as she fell back into old patterns of stress. The chaos felt overwhelming. Yet, in this moment of desperation, Sarah clawed back to the idea of morning renewal. Hope surged. Standing at the crossroads of the past and future, she faced her father. "I want peace for Jake," she confessed, feeling the weight of years peel away. The tension snapped, leaving her breathless, yet strangely liberated. But before she could fully embrace this new path, she sensed another challenge emerging. As she moved forward, the changes in her mornings began to weave their magic. An unfamiliar sense of belonging warmed her heart. But unresolved feelings lingered like faded photographs of family reunions still awaited. Would she find the reconciliation she secretly craved, or would her father's reappearance bring more storms than sunshine? The answer hung in the air, waiting to unveil itself. The next morning, sunlight poured through the kitchen window, washing the room in a soft golden hue. Sarah took a deep breath, a sense of calm slowly wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Today was the day she would start her new morning routine. She envisioned it not just as a series of habits, but as a bridge to the life she wanted to build for Jake, a life filled with laughter and love. Her first step was simple, a stretch. Standing tall with her arms over her head, she let the warmth of the sun seep into her skin. She could almost feel the tension melting away, the tightness in her chest lifting just a bit. As she stretched, she thought of her father's unexpected visit. The weight of that confrontation still sat heavy on her shoulders. Did she really want to let him back in, or was it just the memory of what could have been that kept her tethered to her hurt? "Mom, can we start breakfast?" Jake's excited voice pulled her from her thoughts. His energy was infectious, and she couldn't help but smile as his small, eager face peeked around the corner. "I'm starving." "Of course, buddy," she called out, moving toward the fridge. She began preparing pancakes, a simple joy that filled the air with comforting scents. As she mixed the batter, she recalled her own childhood breakfasts, those happy moments overshadowed by abandonment. But she was determined to create a different narrative for Jake. "Can I help?" Jake chimed in, already pulling a chair to the counter. "Absolutely. Can you grab the blueberries?" she encouraged. He scurried off, and for a moment, Sarah felt the warmth of hope again. Maybe these small moments of togetherness would make all the difference. As they cooked, the laughter bubbled up between them, filling the kitchen and wrapping around them like a joyful cocoon. It felt freeing, two hearts beating in rhythm, crafting more than just food, but memories. Yet, as they sat at the table, the pancakes steaming and syrup glistening, the serene moment felt precarious. She couldn't shake the knot in her stomach thinking of her father. "Mom, is everything okay?" Jake asked, peering at her with wide, concerned eyes. Sarah quickly masked her unease with a smile. "Of course, everything's great. Just thinking about how lucky I am to have a breakfast buddy like you." He grinned, his face lighting up. It was just the two of them, and she felt a flicker of hope stir anew. They finished breakfast together, but as she watched him laugh and chew with unrestrained joy, a familiar weight threaded back into her heart. Could she truly keep this happiness, or would her father's presence shatter it again? With Jake playing in the living room afterward, she grabbed a notebook to outline her new morning habits. It felt good to put pen to paper, each word a commitment to herself and her son. She jotted down ideas: meditation, journaling, a gratitude list. But the page remained blank beneath her next thought: what to do about Dad. Each time she thought of letting him back in, a wave of anger and sadness crashed against her heart. The uncertainty gnawed at her. Would inviting him into their lives heal their family or simply reopen old wounds? As she struggled with her decision, reality knocked once more. Her phone buzzed, and Jake's face illuminated with childish delight as he brought it to her. "It's Granddad," he exclaimed, eyes gleaming. Her heart lurched. A mixture of excitement and dread churned inside. "Jake, let's take this together," she said, bracing for the unknown. This wasn't just a call, it could change everything. Would she step into that storm, or would she let it pass her by? The ringing phone echoed like a countdown, the answer hovering just out of reach. Taking a deep breath, Sarah felt the weight of the moment bearing down on her. The phone buzzed louder, a relentless reminder of the call she had been trying to avoid. She locked eyes with Jake, whose innocent excitement was a stark contrast to her swirling thoughts. Did he truly understand what was at stake? "Okay, let's get this over with," she whispered to herself as she picked up the phone. Her fingers trembled slightly. Would this time be different? Could she trust her father again, or would this call bring more of the same heartache? "Hello?" she answered, her voice steady but her pulse racing. "Sarah? It's me." His voice wrapped around her like an old, uncomfortable cloak, bringing with it a mix of nostalgia and hurt. "Dad," she hesitated, unsure of where this conversation would lead. "What do you want?" "I'd like to talk. Really talk this time. I know I've messed up. I want to try to make it right. For you. For Jake." The mention of Jake sent a jolt through her. She glanced at her son, who was now obliviously absorbed in a coloring book, scribbling away with a focus that made her smile. He deserved his grandfather, didn't he? But past hurt lingered, casting a shadow over the sunlight pouring into the room. "I don't know if that's possible," Sarah finally managed, her heart pounding. I mean, you left me. You left us. I get it, Sarah. I was wrong. God knows I was wrong. All I'm asking for is a chance to show you I've changed. Anger flickered and flared within her. Change. Hadn't she waited long enough for that change to happen? You think a phone call can fix everything? She shot back, frustration flooding her voice. How do I know you just hurt us again? There was silence on the other end. It was a matching silence to the one heavy in her heart. But in that quiet, she heard his regret, raw and real. I don't have the answers, he finally said. But I promise I'm working on myself. I want to be a part of Jake's life. Just a chance, please. The plea hung in the air, wrapping around her like a thick fog. Sarah looked at Jake again, vibrant and full of life, and the inner battle continued. She recalled being that excited child waiting for her father to come around, to show up, only to be let down time and time again. As she opened her mouth to respond, the familiar bitterness rose in her throat. But she couldn't ignore the flicker of hope inside her either. Maybe Jake could have a relationship with this man, despite everything that had happened. Let me think about it, she said finally, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Yes, of course. Take your time. His voice was softer now, almost pleading. It filled her with guilt, but there was no clarity yet, only swirling emotions. They hung up, and Sarah felt a rush of conflicting feelings drown her. She didn't move for a moment, just stood there, lost in her thoughts. Mom, are you okay? Jake's voice broke her reverie, filled with genuine concern. I'm okay, sweetheart, she responded, though she wasn't sure if that was entirely true. Just a lot to think about. He shrugged as if to say that was just fine. He returned to his coloring, leaving Sarah standing on the brink between past and future. What would this decision mean for them? She picked up her notebook again, the page still waiting. The first line she wrote stood in stark contrast to the others, heavy with the weight of her emotions, deciding if I can let Dad back in. With her heart racing, she considered her next move. Could she really step into the storm, or was it her own heart that needed protecting the most? As she faced the blank page, she felt a surge of determination. Maybe it was time to confront the past if it meant securing a brighter future. Yet behind it all, a question lingered: what if this storm changed everything she held dear? The morning light seeped through the curtains, casting a warm glow across Sarah's living room. She sat on the couch, notebook open beside her, but her thoughts were any place but there. The echoes of her father's voice still rang in her ears, each word a tiny dagger that dug deeper into her already heavy heart. Could she really consider opening that door? Jake padded into the room, a wide grin on his face, holding a half-eaten slice of toast. Mom! Look what I did. He held up a drawing of a colorful monster, complete with googly eyes and wild hair. It was a masterpiece in his eyes, a blend of imagination and joy. Sarah smiled despite her turmoil. That looks amazing, buddy. You're such a great artist. Jake beamed at her praise and rushed to hang it on the fridge. In that simple moment, she felt the fierce love a mother has for her child, pure and unwavering. But then the heaviness of her choices returned, pushing down on her chest. Can I take it to school tomorrow? He asked, his eyes bright with excitement. She nodded, pushing her own worries aside, if only for a moment. Jake deserved her undivided attention. As the day stretched on, the decisions weighed heavily on her. Thoughts of her father clawed at her, but then she remembered something she often told herself: every day holds a chance for change. She wondered if the same could be true for her dad. After lunch, she excused herself to the bedroom, needing a moment to collect her thoughts. Sitting on the edge of the bed, she reached for her phone, hesitated, then scrolled through her messages. Friends checking in, updates about work, and a notification from her mother. But it was the one from her father that stood out, a simple reminder of their call. Taking a deep breath, she tapped on the thread. Did you really mean it? The message from him read. It was so raw, so vulnerable. Maybe he was trying too hard, but wasn't he at the point? Could she give him one more chance? With a rush of adrenaline, she dialed the number. This time, her heart pounded not just from fear but from a blooming sense of determination. "Hello." The voice on the other end was a mix of surprise and hope. "It's me," she replied. She could almost hear him holding his breath. "I didn't expect to hear from you so soon," he said softly. Guilt twisted in her stomach as she hesitated. I wanted to talk about the possibility of you meeting Jake." Silence fell between them. It felt heavy, like the weight of a mountain. "Really?" He finally breathed, the disbelief thick in his tone. "Yes, but I need to know that you're truly ready for this. That you've really changed." "I am. I promise. I can't change everything overnight, but I want to show you both. I want to be a better man. For you. For Jake." The sincerity in his voice was undeniable. Yet, the doubt crept in, what if this was just another hollow promise? "What will it look like?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "How do I know this is more than just talk?" He sighed, a long exhale that held years of regret. "Meet me for coffee. Just us. No expectations. I'll show you I'm trying." As Sarah considered his request, a flicker of something hopeful ignited within her. But another question loomed, this one sharper and more painful: was she ready to forgive and risk another heartbreak? "Okay," she said, "when? I'll make it easy for you. Just name the time." Before she knew it, she had a plan to meet the man who had caused her so much pain but somehow still held a thread of hope. As she hung up, she reached for her notebook again and scribbled, "Am I prepared for what this could mean?" In that moment, she realized that confronting her father wasn't just about him, it was about her finding peace. But lingering doubts tugged at her heart. Could this be the turning point, or would it just tear her apart again? She took a deep breath, knowing the answer might be a mere coffee conversation away. And as she looked back at Jake, watching him lost in his colors and drawings, Sarah felt a wave of resolve take root. She would do this, not just for her father, but for herself and her son too. What she didn't expect was just how much the past would resurface when their meeting finally arrived. The next few days stretched like elastic, filled with moments of anticipation and fear. Sarah found herself rehearsing conversations in her head, imagining everything from joyful reconnections to heart-wrenching confrontations. Each time she looked at Jake, his innocent joy filled her with hope that perhaps, just perhaps, her father could change. She wanted that for him, and for her, and undeniably for Jake. 5 o'clock came far too quickly on the day of the meeting. The buzzing in her chest grew louder, and she wondered if a small part of her expected a fairy tale ending. She smoothed her blouse, the fabric feeling foreign against her tense skin. With each passing minute, the knot in her stomach tightened. As she pulled up to the coffee shop, her heart raced. It was a cozy place with large windows overlooking the street. She stepped inside and glanced around. The familiar scent of brewing coffee wrapped around her, bringing a momentary comfort. Sarah picked a small table in the corner, her palms clammy against the cold metal surface. Time seemed to expand in that moment, each tick of the clock amplifying her unease. Would he even show up? What if he didn't? The last time he promised her he'd be there, his absence had shattered trust. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to remember the commitment she had made to give him one more chance. Just as doubt began to creep in, she heard the bell above the door chime. Her eyes darted toward the entrance. There he was, her father. He walked in, tentative and unsure, looking older than she remembered, the weight of the world hanging on his shoulders. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on her, and for a moment, everything else faded. "Sarah," he whispered, the sound spilling from his lips like a prayer. "Dad," she replied, her heart flipping in her chest. It felt strange to call him that again after so long, both foreign and comforting. He moved toward her, each step slower than the last. When he reached the table, he sat down, the nervous energy buzzing between them like an electric current. "Thank you for meeting me. The sincerity in his voice was raw, echoing through the air. "Let's just talk," she said bluntly, unsure of how to bridge the gap of years lost to pain and disappointment. Their conversation started as small talk, a little clumsy but genuine. He asked about Jake, and she felt a flicker of pride as she spoke of her son's recent achievements. They laughed at childhood memories, but the laughter felt fragile, like spun glass. Then, as they navigated the surface, she decided it was time to dive deeper. "You said you wanted to change. What does that mean exactly?" He looked down at his hands, fingers trembling slightly. "It means I'm trying to be someone who deserves you both. I've been in therapy for months, working through my mistakes. I want to show you that I'm not the man I was back then." Hope and skepticism warred inside her. "But how do I know it's real? How do I know you won't slip back into old habits?" His gaze met hers with a fierce intensity, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. "You'll have to trust me. I know I've broken that trust before, but I want to earn it back. It won't be easy. I'm scared too." Sarah's heart ached at his vulnerability. She could see the hurt in his eyes, the fight for redemption. But could she truly forgive him? The weight of the past still clung to her like a ghost. "I don't want to hurt again," she admitted softly, raw honesty pouring from her. "And I don't want to hurt you again," he replied, his voice trembling. They sat in silence, the hope flickering dimly between them, one heartbeat at a time. Could she let him in? Could they rewrite their story? The years of hurt and disappointment flooded her thoughts, but even more, a yearning for family, for connection began to surface. Surrounded by the ambient sounds of clinking cups and soft chatter, she felt torn between the past and the possibility of a brighter future. Would this be the moment that changed everything for them, or the bitter start of more heartbreak? "What happens if you fall back?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. His answer would be the deciding factor, the truth of his willingness to transform. Would he grasp this chance, or let it slip away like so many moments before? She held her breath, waiting for his response. What he said next would change the course of their lives forever. His voice was almost a whisper, laden with the gravity of what was at stake. "If I fall back, I have to be honest, and I have to be accountable. I'll seek help immediately, Sarah. I promise I won't hide behind excuses again." A wave of emotions crashed over her. The sincerity in his tone ignited something within her, a flicker of hope that she had buried deep. Could she really begin to believe that her father could change? Sarah studied him closely, searching for signs of the man who had hurt her so deeply. The lines on his face told stories of struggle and regret. She remembered the girl who had once idolized this man, the father who had let her down in unimaginable ways. But now, he sat before her, seeking a second chance. Could she muster the strength to deliver forgiveness? "What do you need from me?" she asked, her voice steady though her heart was racing. "For now. Just the chance to prove to you that I can do this. I know it's a lot to ask, but I want to take it one step at a time. It starts with trust, doesn't it?" "Yeah, trust. That's the problem, isn't it?" she said, almost sarcastically, trying to mask the tenderness creeping into her heart. He nodded, his eyes softening. "It is. I understand if you can't give it right away. But I want to earn it back, day by day." The weight of the moment enveloped them both, a pause filled with years of unspoken words and lost time. Around them, the coffee shop buzzed with life, oblivious to the fragile world being negotiated in the corner booth. "What if I can't do it? What if I can't forgive?" she asked, vulnerability spilling out in her voice. He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers, as if afraid to invade her space. "You don't have to decide right now. You hold the cards, Sarah. I'm willing to fight for every moment, to rebuild. Just please, don't shut me out completely." His plea hung in the air like a thread, fragile but strong enough to bind their past and future. Sarah glanced outside, watching the sunlight filter through the trees, illuminating the sidewalk. She felt the stirring of hope, but it was paired with fear. What if she opened this door and it led to more pain? As if sensing her inner conflict, he dropped his hand back onto the table, retreating. If you need time, that's okay. I just wanted you to know I'm here, ready to work honestly for this. Jake's laughter drifted through her mind, a reminder of the love she had built away from the chaos of their past. She thought of the peace that had settled into their lives since she had kept her father at a distance. Yet, the idea of a family together trickled in like sunlight through clouds, warming her heart even as it filled her with apprehension. What would it look like? She asked, almost to herself. What would it mean to trust you again? He gave her a small, tentative smile, a mix of relief and hope. It means waking up to a simple morning routine together. It means sharing breakfast, family game nights. It means being there for each other, all of us. I can be a grandfather to Jake. An image bloomed in her mind, a real family, the kind she had always dreamed of. Laughter around the dinner table, shared stories, warmth, and the comfort of knowing they were truly together. But was it just a fantasy? Could she let go of the ghosts that haunted her, the shadows of memories that twisted her heart when she thought of him? I need to think, she finally said softly, feeling the weight of her decision pressing on her shoulders. Take all the time you need, he replied. I'm not going anywhere. It felt like a promise. Sarah nodded slowly, acknowledging the moment but unsure of what lay ahead. The conversation had opened a door, but she was still wrestling with whether she could step through it. As she looked into his eyes again, the fear began to dissipate, replaced by a sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could forge a new beginning. What lay ahead was uncertain, but nothing would change if she kept her heart locked away. Across the table, her father's expression was one of determination. Just then, a thought struck her: the next steps would not rest solely on the promise of his change, but also on her willingness to believe again. And that belief would be the hardest part of all. What if I choose to believe? She pondered out loud, a question just for herself, yet loud enough for him to hear. His smile widened, full of understanding, yet shadowed by a hint of uncertainty. They both knew that from this point on, every decision mattering would change everything. What if this moment could lead to the healing they both so desperately sought? With renewed determination, she whispered, "Let us take it one step at a time." And as the words left her lips, she felt the stirrings of something she thought she had lost forever, a bond that could mend their fractured lives, but only if they both fought for it. Freed from her thoughts, she looked into his eyes, ready to face the unknown ahead. But would that first step invite in the pain of the past, or the promise of something new? The coffee cups cooled between them, their lives hanging on a delicate thread of hope, fragile but alive. The air in the coffee shop seemed to thicken as Sarah mulled over her father's words. Each heartbeat echoed in her chest, reminding her that they were standing on the edge of something monumental. She looked down at her hands, fingers fidgeting with the edge of the table. It felt surreal. This was her father, the man who had once towered over her in both presence and pain, now sitting cautiously, almost vulnerable. "Okay," she said slowly, the word feeling heavy as it rolled off her tongue. "Let us say I try to believe. What does that mean for us? What happens next?" Her father leaned forward, eager energy lifting his posture. "It means we start small. You can set the pace. How about coffee together every Sunday? Just us, a way to connect without any pressure." Somewhere in her heart, excitement clashed with trepidation. Could it be that simple? Just coffee? But she couldn't deny the part of her that craved the connection, the familiarity of family moments lost over years of estrangement. So coffee. At least it's a start, she murmured, contemplating the gravity of this decision. "Absolutely," he said, his voice gaining strength. "And we can talk about anything you want. No subjects off limits. If something bothers you, let us face it together." She raised an eyebrow, skepticism creeping back into her mind. And if I just want to talk about the weather? He chuckled softly, the sound warm yet tinged with familiarity, another thread from their old fabric. Then we'll talk about the weather. The point is to rebuild that trust. It's yours to give or take. The sweet scent of brewed coffee wrapped around them, but the bitterness of truth lingered just outside. Sarah felt the ache of many loss-riddled years, wondering if she could honestly navigate this journey together. A real conversation felt like walking through an open door, with no clear vision of the other side. She glanced out the window again, noticing the way the world continued on, people bustling around, unaware of the major shift happening in her small corner of it. Perhaps she had grown accustomed to the isolation, to the sense of safety it offered. But here, the notion of opening up to her father scared her, yet also beckoned her forward. What if I need time to process everything? What if I can't get past the memories? She finally asked, her voice wavering, revealing her vulnerability. I'll be here. I'll wait, he replied without hesitation, sincerity etched on his face. No matter how long it takes. I want this to be a partnership. Her chest tightened as a wave of uncertainty washed over her. Could she do this? Was there enough time in their lives for this partnership to unfold? The weight of the past was heavy, and she felt the enormous task of forgiving pressing on her shoulders. What if we can't muffle the past? She whispered, half fearing the answer. Then we'll face it together. Every twisted memory, every hurt feeling. Together. His words were resolute, but it was his eyes filled with a deep yearning for redemption that stirred something within her. In that moment, she caught a glimpse of the father she had yearned for. A little flicker of hope ignited within her, literally brightening the shadowy corners of her heart that had been closed off for so long. Maybe, she ventured, her voice barely above a whisper, we can start by sharing one memory. Just one. Something that matters to both of us. Her father's gaze deepened, unblinking. I'd like that. What do you want to share? The question floated in the air, heavy with potential. In a heartbeat, Sarah was back in her childhood home, flashbacks swirling around her like leaves in autumn. Playful afternoons in the backyard, a childhood summer spent learning to ride a bike with him by her side. A soft smile crept across her face, an instinctual reaction to a simpler time. I remember the day you taught me to ride without training wheels, she said, feeling an unexpected lightness. The smile widened, igniting past warmth. I fell more times than I can count, but you just kept saying, try again. I remember, he said, his expression softening as nostalgia enveloped them both. You were so determined. I was proud of you. The ghost of laughter echoed in her mind as they both held on to that shared moment. For the first time in a long while, Sarah felt a small piece of the past merging with their present. The realization was almost overwhelming. As they lingered in this precious bubble of memory, a stronger warmth began to rise in her chest. What if memories like this could pave the way for new ones? But something tugged at her. Their exchange felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter at any moment. What if stepping forward meant stepping back into pain she wasn't ready to confront yet? Dad, she said, her voice trembling slightly, what if we take this slow? I want to share more memories, but I'm not ready for all the conversations yet. I'm all in, he affirmed, his sincerity undeniable. No rushing. We'll take it at your pace. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Sarah didn't just hope, she believed. Feeling the warmth of connection spark between them, she wondered, would this be the start of mending their relationship, or just a slight detour before pain surged back into view? As their laughter faded into the background hum of the coffee shop, she breathed deeply, embracing the unknown. And whatever came next, whether filled with memories or the burden of confrontation, she was ready to take that leap. Would they unearth more hidden pains or uncover deeper connections in the process? Only time would tell. The next Sunday arrived too soon, but Sarah felt strangely excited. The ritual of coffee was unfolding, solidifying the promise she made to herself and her father. As she stepped into the coffee shop, familiar scents filled her senses, the rich aroma of espresso and the sweetness of pastries, but it was the idea of a new beginning that truly engulfed her. Her father was already seated, a steaming cup in front of him. He looked up, his face lighting up with a genuine smile that reached his eyes. It was a small gesture, but it felt monumental. She settled into the chair across from him, feeling the weight of the past slip just a little. "Hey," she said, a hint of nervousness creeping through her voice. "Hey there, champ," he replied, the nickname sending a wave of nostalgia flooding in. The playful banter reminded her of childhood days, ones she had thought lost. After a moment of hesitation, she asked, "So, what's on your mind today?" It was a question that hung between them like a thread, cautiously taut. He paused, taking a sip from his mug. "I've been thinking about that day in the backyard. You learning to ride. I was also remembering how you reacted to your first fall. You got back up so quick. I admired that." Sarah felt a rush of warmth. It was surprising to hear her past brought up so easily, like brushing dust off a cherished memory. "I was so stubborn," she chuckled, smiling broadly. "I just wanted to ride." "You were determined, and that's something," he said, pride swelling in his voice. "Even now, I see that same spark in you." The air shifted. The casual talk of the past opened a door to something deeper. "But what if I couldn't ride anymore?" she ventured, her voice wavering slightly. "Then I would help you again," he said simply, his eyes steady on hers. "The same way I did back then." The gravity of his words sank in. Could she truly let go of the doubts and fears anchoring her? The past had a way of creeping in, shadows of pain lurking just behind the warmth of reconciliation. "Okay," she said, feeling a knot in her stomach but pushing forward. "Let's try talking about something hard today." His expression shifted, a blend of concern and attentiveness. "Whatever you need, Sarah. I'm here." Taking a deep breath, she chose her words carefully. "What about the time my birthday party got ruined? When you didn't show up?" His face fell, a flicker of anguish passing across it. "I've thought about that day more times than I can count. I'm so sorry." For a moment, they were both lost in the memory. A mix of guilt and regret washed over him, she could see it. The way he clenched his mug a little tighter told her everything. The vulnerability in his voice brought a lump to her throat, and it was hard to swallow. "I waited, Dad," she spoke softly, feeling the hurt rise like a stubborn tide. "I thought you'd come." Silence hung heavy in the air, the room buzzing around them, yet they were suspended in their own world. "I should have been there," he finally replied, his voice a mix of sorrow and resolution. "I wanted to be, but I got caught in my own mess. It haunts me, Sarah." Feeling the intensity of the moment, she replied, "But how do I trust you again? It's one thing to share memories, but another to build trust back up." His eyes softened with understanding. "It's going to take time. I understand if you're angry. Just give me a chance to make it right. No matter how long it takes." Her heart raced. Could she really navigate the labyrinth of emotions tied to forgiveness? "Okay," she whispered. "I'll try." As the words left her mouth, a sense of newfound determination filled her. Maybe trust was a path laid out in small steps, each facing a different shadow from the past. Today was just another step forward. But just as the whispers of hope floated in the air, a shadow crossed her father's face. "There's something else I've never told you about that day," he said, his voice tinged with hesitation. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. What could be left unsaid that might change everything? "What do you mean?" she asked, her heart pounding, the world around them fading as the weight of his revelation loomed. "Maybe there's a reason I didn't make it." The impending truth hung before them, and she felt the urgency of this moment tighten around her like a noose. Would this lead them toward healing or deeper cuts that still needed bandaging? Only time would reveal the answer. The tension in the coffee shop thickened, wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. Sarah leaned in, her heart racing as she awaited her father's words. He shifted in his seat, clearly wrestling with whatever he was about to reveal. "Sarah," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "The day of your birthday. I never meant to let you down. But I got caught up in something I didn't know how to handle." Her brows knitted together in confusion. "What do you mean?" She challenged the air between them, demanding clarity where there had been only shadows. He sighed, his gaze dropping to the table. "That day, I wasn't just late. I was distracted by my own problems. I was dealing with things that I thought I could handle alone." As he spoke, a tightness pulled at her chest. "What things?" she asked, a mixture of fear and curiosity lighting a fire inside her. Her father's hands fidgeted with the edge of his coffee cup. "Your mother and I were going through a rough patch then. I wasn't ready to face it, but it was consuming me." Sarah felt her heart drop. The threads of guilt stretched tighter around her. "So you let it affect everything? You let it affect me?" His eyes met hers, shimmering with unshed tears. "I thought I was protecting you by keeping it away from you. But in trying to shield you, I only ended up hurting you more. I was trapped in my own head, Sarah. I was trying to ride my own bike, but I kept falling." A rush of emotion surged through her, and her throat swelled with unshed tears. "But I needed you that day. I needed you to be there, even just to tell me it was okay." "I know," he whispered, his voice thick with remorse. "And I hate that I wasn't. I despised myself for not being strong enough to fight my demons and be the father you needed. It's haunted me. I can't change the past, but I want you to know I am working on it. Every day." Her heart ached at the fragility of his confession. It struck a chord deep within her. Could it be that their struggles were intertwined, two souls stumbling, yet desperately trying to connect again? "Do you still think about it?" Sarah asked, curiosity washing over her like rain on parched earth. "About Mom?" His face flickered with pain. "Every day." The vulnerability in his words opened a door to deeper truths. "It was hard losing her in pieces, but I see now how I've continued to lose you, too." Sarah's heart softened, but doubt still lingered like an unwelcome guest. "How do we move on from this, Dad? How do I trust you again when you've been this distant?" Her father reached across the table, his hand resting gently over hers. "Just take it step by step. We'll find a way together, I promise. Let us keep talking, keep being honest. That's the only way to build back what's been broken." She didn't know if his words were enough just yet. For years, they had drifted apart like ships in a storm, and while today brought a small glimmer of connection, hopes were built on fragile grounds. "Okay," she finally said, realizing that opening this door did feel like a step forward. "I'll try, but it's going to be hard." "Hard is good," he replied, a small smile breaking through the tension. "It means we're starting the real work. Together, right?" "Right," she echoed softly, the knot in her stomach loosening just a bit. But as she looked into his eyes, that familiar flicker of fear sparked again. "And what if I find out something else? What if there's more I don't know?" His expression grew serious, a shadow crossing his face once more. "If you're ready to uncover the truth, we'll face it. Whatever may come, I'm here. Just promise me you'll be honest too, no matter what." With that, the weight of their past loomed larger than before, yet somehow lighter at the same time. They were on a crumbling tightrope of raw emotions, ready to dialogue but unsure of what would be revealed next. What more lay buried beneath the surface, and would discovering it help heal their wounds or plunge them deeper into despair? Only time would tell, as this fragile moment seemed to hang delicately in the air. The following Sunday rolled around with a strange mix of anxiety and eagerness. Sarah walked into the coffee shop, her heart pounding. Last week's conversation hummed in her mind, a mix of memories both painful and cherished. She spotted her father already seated, his eyes scanning the room until they found her. The smile that bloomed on his face felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Hey," she greeted him, taking her seat cautiously. "Hey there, champ," he replied. This time, the nostalgia wasn't just a whisper, it roared to life thrillingly. They exchanged pleasantries about the weather and upcoming plans for the week, but Sarah felt the weight of unsaid words pressing against her chest as they sipped their coffees. "Sarah," he began, the air shifting around them. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about you, about us. I want to dive deeper today if that's okay." She felt her breath catch. "All right. Let us talk." A combination of fear and determination flared within her. "Last week was hard, I know. You opened up a door I've been too scared to knock on for so long. But it's important we don't just share the pleasant memories. We have to face the uncomfortable truths together if we have any hope of moving forward," he continued. She nodded, knowing he was right. "What do you think we should start with?" He paused, the weight of the moment sinking in. "How about we talk about your mom a bit more? I sense that's important to you." Taking a deep breath, Sarah committed to honesty. "It is. It's a massive part of my life and yours. I want to know how you felt losing her and how it affected me." His face shifted to a mix of resignation and vulnerability. "It hurt, Sarah. It broke me in ways I didn't realize until years later. Losing her was like losing my anchor. I didn't know how to keep our lives together while grappling with that pain. Instead of relying on you and her, I shut myself off. You deserved better." A knot formed in her throat. "I know you went through a lot, but I needed a father, not a ghost. Your absence is as big as your presence could have been." He nodded solemnly, absorbing her words. "You're right. I didn't realize how much you were hurt. I thought I was protecting you by keeping away my chaos, and in doing so, I left you alone." Tears burned in Sarah's eyes, fueled by a mix of sorrow and understanding. "If you had just tried, if you had just been real with me, I could have understood." "I'm sorry," he said, his voice breaking. "I wish I could rewrite those years. I truly do." The silence that followed was thick with unshed tears, threading through their complex relationship. Each breath caught between them felt heavy. The past lingered like an uninvited guest, demanding acknowledgement. "But we have now," Sarah said finally, her voice steadier, calmer. "We can change this narrative moving forward. I want to trust you again, but it's going to take time and effort." "Time and effort I'm willing to invest, I promise," he replied softly, his eyes earnest. And with those words, something shifted. A sliver of hope broke through the silence. "I want to believe you," she admitted. "I really do. So what can we do next?" "Let us make weekly goals," he suggested, a hint of excitement sparking in his voice. "Things to work on together. Whether it's coffee, or activities with Jake, or even just sitting down to talk." "That sounds good," she said, feeling the warmth of connection brighten her heart. "But can I also set rules? Like, if you feel overwhelmed or tempted to run again, you have to talk to me immediately, no shutting me out." "Of course. It's your call, Sarah. I'll take any rules you need to feel comfortable." Taking a moment to gather her thoughts, she realized this was more than just rebuilding trust. This was about forging a new path, together, as an unconventional family. "Okay, let us start there. I want to build our new relationship slowly, layer by layer." "Slow is good. We can learn to ride together," he replied, echoing their metaphor from days gone by. As they laughed together, the burden of lost time eased a little. Every shared smile felt like it chipped away another piece of the wall that had built up between them. "Let us plan something with Jake soon. A day together?" she suggested, excitement bubbling in her veins. "Absolutely. Maybe we can go to the zoo." "I can't wait to see his face light up with joy," he said, a smile stretching across his face. Sarah felt her heart swell. For the first time in years, she imagined joy, hope, laughter being weaved into their lives again. Slowly but surely, the fragments of their broken past could be reshaped into something new. And as they left the coffee shop, walking together into the soft light of the afternoon, Sarah knew there were miles left to go. But for the first time, she truly believed in the journey ahead. Together, they were ready to ride into the new chapters, armed with vulnerability, honesty, and love, both watched over and embraced by the faded ghosts of the past. As the sunlight bathed them in warmth, she felt the murmurs of a family rekindling, perhaps as strong as ever. This is just the beginning. If you found this ending inspiring, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, every click matters. Comment your reactions and feelings about this transformation, we want to hear from you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of positive change. Your support matters, true fans.